Hello YouTube, this is Let's Talk Horror and welcome back to another video. Okay guys, so today we are going to be talking about and reviewing Terror Train 2022 as part of this kind of short Terror Train review series, and let's get into it. So Terror Train 1980, I already have the review up on my channel if you want to go check that out. I thought it was decent, thought it was a decent little 80s slasher movie that had enough going for it with Jamie Lee Curtis and the train setting where I could recommend it. So what happened was 20th Century Fox back in 1980 gave Terror Train a $3.5 million budget. They actually gave it a pretty expansive $5 million marketing campaign, and it bombed spectacularly at the box office. It only made $8 million when it was projected to make as much as $50 million. It never got a sequel and kind of faded into obscurity, kind of faded into being an afterthought to a certain extent, of the 1980s slasher craze. I mean, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I like the movie well enough, but come on, let's call it what it is. This franchise, I guess, if you will, didn't even get like a early or mid 2000s remake. It didn't even get that. That's how much of kind of an afterthought Terror Train was. And then Tubi came along in 2022 and finally decided to make a reboot of Terror Train and a sequel, Terror Train 2. They were both filmed, I believe, in April or May of 2022. And one was released in October of 2022, the one we're going to be talking about today, and one was released in December of 2022. And I'll be reviewing that one hopefully before Halloween. But let's talk about Terror Train 2022. Okay, so here's a synopsis for Terror Train 2022. A group of college seniors board a party train for a Halloween-themed bash, but their fun spirals into fear as attendees are killed off one by one. Concealed by costumes and plagued with chaos, everyone is a suspect. As the party train continues full steam ahead, Alana must race to find the killer before she becomes the next victim. So that is your synopsis for Terror Train 2022. As always, if that interests you, go see the movie, come back here, see if you agree or disagree with my thoughts, because we are going to be discussing spoilers. So if you don't want the movie spoiled for you, stop this video here, come back to it later after you've seen the movie, and there you go. So there's your spoiler warning. Okay. So what did I like and what did I not like about Terror Train 2022? But getting into some of the positives, well, first of all, the production value for this movie is actually not bad. This is not a bad movie to look at. For a Tubi original, my expectations were on the floor, and it definitely surpassed that. Again, the production value, at least for a Tubi original, is pretty high. I thought this was going to be somewhere in the range of like some of those direct to DVD slashers of like the early 2000s, and no, it's well past that. So I was pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised. It's not a bad movie to look at, and the production value is actually pretty damn good. The acting isn't terrible. This is a more diverse cast, by the way. I wouldn't say there's really any standout performances here. The main character, Ilana's performance, is pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's Jamie Lee Curtis, but it's decent. And yeah, the acting is okay in this movie as well. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's terrible. The clown mask they use for the killer in place of the Groucho Marx mask. I don't know if this was controversial in my last video, but if you don't know, I didn't really love the Groucho Marx look for this killer. This one is generic yet creepy. I thought that clown mask was pretty good. And then, to end my positives here, finally, in the last 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, and this is getting into one of my negatives, but finally, in the last 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, they try to subvert expectations. They try to do something new with the story, and I feel the reveal performance is actually pretty good in this film. So the conductor character from the last one, who was played by Ben Johnson in the 1980 film, he was kind of the Dr. Loomis of that movie. And in this one, the conductor character, and she is played by Mary Walsh, she is the killer of this movie. She is kind of revealed to be the Pamela Voorhees of this movie, trying to get revenge on the kids for what they did to her son, Kenny. That's what's revealed. And so it's not the most original reveal. It's actually kind of predictable. She's definitely not in this movie as much as the Ben Johnson character was in the original. But when she's revealed, she does actually a pretty good job. So I appreciated her performance. I appreciated her reveal. And just overall, when they finally were trying to do something new and subvert expectations and go in a different direction with the material, I actually enjoyed that. That's when I actually really enjoyed the movie the most. So, and sadly, it was in like the last 10 to 15 minutes or whatever. So, yeah, and now let's get into what I didn't like. So, some of my negatives. Well, I have one big negative. Simply put, there's pretty much no reason for this reboot to exist. As I said, outside the last 10 to 15 minutes, this movie is the same as the original beat for beat. And it is. It's the exact same characters. I think for the most part, they have the exact same names. It's the exact same character dynamics. You know, we open right before the prank on Kenny. The prank pretty much goes the exact same way. He gets scared and gets caught up in the bed sheets or the bed curtains or whatever and has a mental breakdown. There's nothing new here. You know, the theme of illusion is explored in the exact same ways as the original. Everything here is beat for beat. The kills are pretty much done the exact same way. The kills are pretty much done in the exact same order they were done in the original. There's pretty much no reason for this to exist. Before the last 10 or 15 minutes, arguably the biggest change they made, outside of giving this movie a little bit of a modern coat of paint, was that this is a Halloween frat party on a train and not a New Year's Eve frat party on a train. Other than that, it's the same movie beat for beat. There's really no reason for it to exist. As much as I appreciate the performance of the twist reveal, it's not like the twist reveal is all that fresh. As I said, if the train conductor in the last one was the Dr. Loomis of the 1980 movie, the train conductor the train conductor in this movie is the Pamela Voorhees of Terror Train 2022. Pretty much it's revealed, as I said before, that Kenny was her son and she's getting revenge on these kids for what they did to her son. And while I appreciated the performance and was finally appreciative that they took the movie in their own direction, the reveal is not that fresh. And in fact, it was pretty predictable because the conductor herself, she's in the movie much less than the Ben Johnson character was. Okay, so moving on. One of the few things they try to add as well is forced social commentary in spots. Now, it should be noted that this is kept relatively at bay. It's just there are a couple of points where they talk about characters being canceled or stuff like that. Or it's pretty much an updated commentary in spots on fraternity culture. It's kept at bay somewhat, but it does feel forced when they try to do it. And then finally, the main theme of illusion is once again explored, as I said, but they don't do anything with it. Bringing it into the modern day would have been cool. So yeah, like maybe just off the top of my head, like these people have iPhones in this movie, they have social media. Maybe like exploring illusion in some way of like, you know, on social media, we see people try to have the illusion that their life is so happy and perfect, but in real life, you know, they got a lot more going on. They got, you know, a lot more problems. And we see that a lot in the modern day thing of social media. Well, that could have been explored here, but they don't really do anything with it. They explored the same kind of theme of illusion through like the magic act and stuff like that in the exact same way as we saw as the original, which is once again, you know, the main problem with this movie. And then finally, the ending is extremely cliche. Pretty much they kill this character, the conductor, and they pull the Halloween resurrection where the camera is on her body on the train tracks and she opens her eyes. So yeah, they pull the Halloween resurrection. Extremely cliche, clearly setting up for a sequel, but still not very well done. And okay, guys, there's not really much more to say about this movie. As I said, it's not awful, but they pretty much, the Psycho remake in 1990, they pretty much did that. You know, some scenes are the same beat for beat. Some shots are the same beat for beat. The kills are the same beat for beat. They pretty much copied the original's homework and then changed a couple of lines here and there at the end of the paper and tried to hand it in and get an A+. And I'm sorry, I can't give you an A+. You know, other than that, other than that reveal, which I did like to a certain extent, it's the same movie with a more diverse cast and a little bit of a modern coat of paint. I'm going to have to bump this down to a 5.5 out of 10. I don't think it's terrible. If you want to check it out, be my guest, but pretty disappointed that there was just very little effort until the last 10 or 15 minutes of trying something new. But okay, guys, that's going to do it for me today. If you want to go check out the movie, you do that. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you guys later. Okay, take care.